Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DeLuSioNaL's Arcade. So in this episode, you're not seeing things, you're not hearing things. This is actually the attract mode for the Super Multipede version 2.0 from highscoresaves.com. It's one of the features that are in here, along with a slew of others, including a menu with other games in it and different settings. So what we're going to do is we're going to install it together, we're going to run it together, we're going to show you all the features of this. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into the video. Okay, so we have the Millipede board here, and this board and this kit only works with the Millipede board. If you want to put it in a Centipede cabinet, which you can do, you know, to have the Centipede, the Millipede, and all the other games, you will have to buy a Millipede board, and then you have to get an adapter, an edge connector, that will kind of convert it from the Millipede into the Centipede harness. They do sell that. And then you can just, you know, kind of put your other board on the side and not use it, and use this one, and it'll have Centipede on it as well as Millipede and the other games. So just wanted to say that this kit does not work with a Centipede board because it has to do with the processor, because it can run the Centipede just fine, obviously, because it's a Centipede board, but this one just is a little stronger, and it has different colors that are, I guess, more powerful. This is a more powerful board, so this can kind of go down with the colors. So I believe this has more colors than the other one does, and what they do is they kind of, the ROM and the hack itself, at least in the Braze kit from what I understand it, they're pretty close in colors to Centipede. It's really close. I've seen comparisons online and stuff, but in this kit, you know, I'm assuming it's the same thing where it's taking these colors palettes for the Millipede and kind of converts it to the Centipede. And then I guess for the other games that are on here. So, all right, so to install it, this is the actual kit that I got. And right now, everything in this video is all still beta. Kind of beta testing. I'm one of the testers that, you know, Joe was kind of gracious enough to let me do it. And this is his card here, High Score Saves. It's pretty awesome. Go to his website. He has a lot of cool stuff and a lot of kits there. And this is it. So he has this thing. You can see it's labeled. I'm going to kind of zoom in here so you guys can see it a little bit. But that's it right there. So it's High Score Saves. And then it uses a 27C512 chip that can be flashed. You can actually erase this. It doesn't have a little window like normal EEPROMs do. This, I believe, is a EEPROM, which lets you kind of overwrite it over and over, and you just electronically erase it within the software in the burner. So that's that. And then on the other side, these are actually two boards that come apart. We have the kit right there. So he has a little sticker on there. You see it says Centipede, Millipede, Super Breakout, and then Warlords. So those are things that come on there. And obviously this empty thing here is where you take out your processor and put it in. And then the 6502 processor, I believe that is. And then on this side, you just connect comes with a little connector here, which connects, you kind of put in here. It only goes in one way, it's keyed, so that it can go into the other side right here. And then you just connect the two. And I believe you have to remove the ROMs because these actually go in place of them on the board themselves. So let's zoom out a little bit so we can kind of see. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this out here. And I guess I'm going to put this one in first. I have to just remove them. You take basically 5P and 5R out. And you can see if I take this off here, got to be really careful because these are really delicate. They're going to go in a certain way. So you see how the notches are facing this side of the board where the edge connectors are. So are these right here, so that you want to kind of put them in the same direction. So because these are kind of just replacing, it's actually replacing the ROMs for here, but it's also depending on what's, you know, what part of memory it's in. And this here kind of controls like, okay, you select whatever game it is, and then it kind of switches this ROM into here because these are smaller, and the 27C512s hold more. So there it is right there. Since I'm beta testing this, you know, you may not get, I'm not really sure, but you may not get this one that's flash programmable. It might just be, you know, just one that's hard coded. I'm not really sure. Again, this is beta. I'm beta testing it. So, you know, I'm able to actually overwrite this chip right here depending on the revision, like if we find a bug or whatever it is, we'll let Joe know, and then he'll just reprogram it and send us a file. And then at my house here, I have a burner, which I can take this chip out and I reburn the new image onto here, and then we try it out and see how it works. So anyway, that goes right there. You can see it's kind of lined up where you can just put it over. So I'll put that on the side for now. And then this is the processor here. It's a 6502. You can see that the notch is over here, which is pin 1. You can see it's actually marked by a little circle dot there. So that pin has to go on pin 1 over here. So obviously when you put it back, it's going to be orientated this way. So I'm not really sure if I need a riser or not. He said you may need one. But what I'm going to do is I have, just in case, a 40 pin socket, which I can put in there because it's not going to clear these test points right here. You can bend them. You know, it says in the instructions you can bend them to make this fit, or you can just use the riser. So I might use the riser, but I'm going to check it out and see if I can kind of put it on without bending them. It may touch this over here, I'm not really sure, but if it does, I'm just going to put, like I said, another socket down, and you put this on top of it. And then when you have these both in here, it should reach. It goes from here to there. You know, you have it inside here, so basically it goes in one way. Doesn't matter which one you put on, but it's all keyed. So you put this in like that. It's facing that way. And then I'm going to keep this as straight as possible here. And put that in there. Actually, it goes in this way here. It's also keyed. And then kind of go like that. So that's how it's going to be when it's in there. It's going to rest right here, and it's going to rest right there. So this does overhang the board a little bit, by the way. So you can see here when I put this in there, it's ever so slightly overhanging here. So Joe actually, I think he's going to do a revision for this. Is the graphics board here. He's going to do a revision on it. Where, you know, it doesn't kind of go over the board, it just clears it, because right now, if you have this mounted in your cabinet just the way it is, it's fine. But I have the filter board on mine, which, you know, you have to put on the side here. And when you do that, it actually slides in and it goes in the cage. And this does not clear the cage, this part right here. So you could either get an extension, kind of move it over, or in my case, I'm just going to wait for his revision to come out. So in the meantime, I'm going to kind of stick it in my cage diagonally so it'll kind of fit and make sure it's not touching anything. And then when the revision comes out, he's going to send it to me. Again, this is all in beta, and then it should fit, and I should have it in the cage, and it should be good to go. People who have the Centipede boards has like a wood mounting strip there. They'll have no problem putting this Millipede in. Because, you know, it won't basically, it'll clear the sides and won't interfere at all. But with the other cage that I have, which is metal, the side is going to hit over here and it's going to not clear this. So we'll experiment. We'll see. I'm going to put it on the way it's, you know, the instructions say to mount it, and then we'll kind of see if it's going to clear it or not. I'm not really sure if it's going to. I doubt it's going to. It says the instructions that it won't, so I'm going to trust them. But, you know, for now, we can just kind of lay it in there. So it's working, but I'm not really moving the cabinet. And then when this comes out, we'll replace it with the proper one and then put it in the cage. So I'm probably going to have to not install this filter board, which is fine. It'll work without it. I just want it to be all original and to keep everything. And it's working perfectly fine, so I was going to leave it on. But I may have to just take it off temporarily until we get that parted. So great. All right, so let me go ahead and get my tools so I can remove the chips here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take these out here. I have my favorite screwdriver that I use. It's not sharp or anything, and it kind of takes it out. And you're going to want to save these in case you want to reverse the process. Mine are nice and original, and the board's in really nice shape, so I'm going to keep them. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this one here and just make sure again that they face the same way. So you see the notches are facing that way along with those. So you're going to go ahead and put those in. So you just got to be really careful. I'm kind of lining up the whole board. I'm making sure it's all good to go. And I'm going to push down till everything snaps in. So that's good. And then as far as this goes, I think I'm probably going to need a riser. That's, you know, a socket to make it rise over these things, or I can bend them. but I really don't want to bend them if I can help it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so this is a processor. Now you're going to see on here, I'm actually going to hold it up and I'll zoom in for you. But this actually has, you see how there's a notch on there? That's going to be the side. There's like a notch right there. And you see right next to it, there's like a dot. That dot is going to be pin 1. So it's going to be facing this side of the board going in that direction. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. And then before I do that, I'm just going to show you here. It even notates here, it says pin 1. So that's where you want it to go. So this is going to go on there exactly like that, because pin 1 is located right there. And that's where the dot is. So before I push it in, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this board here. And to give myself some leverage before I push it in, I'm actually going to take that off real quick. I'm just going to put it back in here so that none of the pins get bent up. This is, you know, he provided me with this when it came with the kit. That way it's nice and flat. And then I can kind of push it in. So pin 1 is right there. Pin 1 is right there. So I'm just going to put it in. Nice and easy. Just make sure everything's lined up. Right now it's good to go. I'm just going to push down on it to put it in. But you definitely want to do that. You want to have this underneath because or else you're going to bend the pins. I don't recommend pushing this in while you have it installed on the board because it could, again, put pressure on these pins here and you could bend them. So just do exactly what I'm doing where you put this on first. Piece of foam or something. It came with this foam, so now I can take it off. And we're going to put the board back. And now I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. All right. And I'm just going to look at the clearance on this. I don't think it's going to fit. So again, pin 1 is over there. Pin 1 is right here. So you want to put it on the same direction here. But I don't think it's going to clear it. Yeah, when I push down, I don't think it will. Let me look here. Yeah, when I push down, I can see it's going to touch it. So I'm going to put a riser on there. So I'm just going to let me go ahead and get a socket and I'll be right back. Okay, so I grabbed the socket. This is actually a quality socket. You can tell usually when they're dual wipe sockets. This is dual wipe, not single wipe. When they have like this bar across, a lot of them do not have that bar when they're kind of bootleg because they try to save and cut corners everywhere. And this stability here gives it more stability. A lot of them don't have this when they're like really cheap Chinese knockoffs. So this is a good quality one. I got it at jameco.com. And you know, they sell a whole bunch of them. So I got dual wipe. I can leave a link in the description if you need it. I believe this does come with the kit. Don't quote me on that because again, this is all beta, but I believe it does come with this riser when you buy the kit, just in case you need it. Or you can just bend these if you're not comfortable with, you know, having this a little higher up. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on because I don't want to mess up my board. So basically you just pop this in there. Let me just line everything up here. Looks like it's good to go. So it's in there pretty solid. And again, this is dual wipe and it is a quality socket, so I trust it. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this in there. So I'm just going to line it up as best I can. I'm actually going to get a flashlight separately so I can see what I'm doing underneath because it's dark. But let's see, that's there and that's there. All right. So the way I recommend putting it on is that kind of tilt it to one side just to gauge where you're going to press down. And then when you put the other side down, it's nice and even. So again, the notch is going to face that way. Pin number 1 is that way, just like it was installed before. And it's going to be directly underneath here, and you're just going to push straight down. You're going to hear it click. There we go. So that's in. I'm just going to double check here by looking underneath. I'm going to use my flashlight again, just to make sure that nothing's touching. Yep. So nothing's touching there. And if you want to look here, you can see, I'm going to zoom in here for you. Let me just get it there. Okay. So you'll see if I hold it up, you're going to see that these here are not, these right in there. Let's see if I can get to it. There it is. Those right there are not, those are the test points, are not touching. If you don't have this riser in there, it actually does touch the metal, and it's not going to clear it properly. So definitely want to have, you know, that riser in there and that extra socket. So, but it looks great. So let me actually zoom out here, and then we can resume what we were doing. So I'm going to turn it back, and we'll put it down so you guys can see it. Okay, so the last step, of course, is taking this and putting it in. Again, you know, it's keyed, so this side right here actually has a little bump on it. This side does not. It's impossible kind of to put it backwards because it doesn't let you put it in, just because it's keyed. So I'm going to put that in. I don't think it matters whether you put this side or this side in first. They're both the same exact thing, where even if you were to put it this and that way, it's red. I guess that's pin 1 on the side. Doesn't matter which side you put in. Whether you put it this way or backwards, doesn't matter, but you do have to put it in. It's all keyed, so you're good to go. So when you do put it in, you'll see the red should be facing down away from the board, and this one should be facing the edge connectors on this side. So there you go. It's all good to go. I'm pretty confident that's good. And then let me take my 2 old chips. I'm going to put them in right here, and I'll keep these in a safe place. I'll probably wrap it with some anti-static stuff and then keep it safe. So now I just want to kind of examine this. You can see how it overhangs if I kind of tilt it. You see that? So it's not exactly, you can see it kind of goes over right here. So that's why you can't put it in the cage, because you're actually sliding this in the cage, and it's going to hit that. So it's not going to be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to tilt it and put it in diagonally so that I can still get it in the cage if it's just going to be sitting there. I just have to make sure that nothing is touching the metal. I may have to, you know, put like a piece of cardboard in there or something just so it won't touch the metal. And then again, that's all temporary until we get a new one of these boards where it's nice and flush, where it will fit. So I believe that's still, Joe's still working on that. He said it's going to be about 2 weeks till I get it. But in the meantime, I want to install it so I can kind of test it and make sure the software portion that's actually flashed to this chip is correct and it's good and it's working. So I'm going to mess with the dip switch settings and all that stuff. But for now, this is set to free play. I believe if it's similar to his other kits, when you enter the test menu and stuff, it allows you to change the dip switch settings in software without having to actually mess with these at all, which is great, because if you have this pushed back against, you know, a wall or something, you know, it's really hard to get to the back of the machine. You don't want to have to take it apart. You can actually just change all the switches inside the software itself, and it'll just activate like it should. So, all right, so let's go ahead. We'll pop this in the machine as is, and then I'll actually show you that too, so you can see what happens if you have a cage. You know, for now with this version, if you have the earlier versions, you know, but again, he will probably redesign it. He's already working on it so that it will be nice and flush. So, all right, so typically mine goes in like this, right? So I'll put it on these 2 on this side, on the left, and it kind of fits in very snug where the connector actually hits the top of this cage here, which is fine because it's made of plastic. It's not really doing anything. So you can get it in there like I'm doing right now. A little bit of a tight fit, but you can see right here, bam, it hits the top. So because it's hitting the top, it's not going to be able to go in. So, you know, again, he is going to try to make it smaller, so we'll see. This is all beta here, so this is not how the final product will be. I just want to stress that. So I'm probably going to have to do, when I put it in, I may have to put it in on the second one. Let's see how that works. If I put it in on the second, it clears this pretty good over here, but it still doesn't clear that. So I'm going to have to do either a diagonal like this, Will that fit? No, it still won't fit. Or I can do it this way. Let me just remove, there's like a little piece of plastic in there. I can do it this way. But if I do it this way, because it has an edge connector on the bottom, I don't want it to touch the metal. So I'm gonna have to put like a piece of cardboard down inside. But that's how I'm gonna get it to fit, I think. Just by doing that, which I'm not a fan of. And then the edge connector can go directly on there and we're good. But I don't want it to short out. So I'm gonna put something down. So let me find something that I can get. Maybe what I'll do is I'll take some of that stuff I use on top of my table for packing, the anti-static stuff, and then line the bottom of that so I can at least put this down, because I really don't want this thing hanging in my cab. I guess I could do it, but I really would not. I prefer not to. So, and I don't want to take this cage off either. All right, so let me figure something out and I'll come back. All right, so I found this stuff here. And most likely what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut. Do I even need to cut it? I might just put it in there and then, yeah, maybe I'll do that. You know, I don't want it touching anything here. So I do have to cut the edge here. I'm going to cut right here. So this is just packing stuff. I can put it in there so I can touch the side, and then I got to figure out the top portion. So let me grab the board. All right, I think that'll work right there. So I'm just putting it in. Keep going. Yep, it's good to go. Good to go. Good to go. All right, that works. So now I can go ahead and just connect these just like so. And I'm gonna push it in there. And I'm pretty confident that nothing on the bottom is touching, which is great. Okay, so I have everything positioned here, ready to turn on, so here we go. So I see right off the bat, I'm actually going to go down, that these are flashing, which means it's set to free play mode. And I'm looking here, yep, it's set to free play right there. So I'll try to get a tiny bit tighter shot so you guys can see a little more. So there you go. So I don't know if you noticed now, I already knew this, but it's set to free play, see how it's flashing there, but it's also set to sound. So it does have a tracked mode enabled, where you can have the sound. Instead of normally it's just really silent. Now it does have options in the setup screen to go with no sound like the original, or you can set one. This one's set to 4 out of 4, which is super loud, which I'm probably going to lower. But you have 1 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4, and 4 out of 4 for the volume. So I'm probably going to set it to 1 out of 4 just to see where it's at. I think it's kind of cool how it has a little track mode with sound. So let's go ahead and start a game here, just to see if it plays normally, and it should. So I'm going to start at 30,000 to make it a little harder here. Whoa. So mainly we want to see if we could save the high score. So far it's working great. I really can't tell any difference between this and the real deal. And it's just as hard. I believe it's still set for default, so. But what's cool is that you can set the dip switch settings in the menu. Not have to worry about, you know, hauling out the game, pulling it back. So let me see if I can save my high score here. DEL. Oh, I messed that up. So I put DDD, that's fine. So 42,007. And what you can do is, let me see, if I hold down player 1 for 5 seconds, it'll go right to the menu here. So you can select Millipede, Centipede, Warlords, Super Breakout Progressive, Super Breakout Double, and Super Breakout Cavity. And what these are, they're just 3 different versions of Super Breakout. So let me go to Centipede. And there it is. And this down here, by the way, it says highscoresaves.com. You could change it to say Atari as well, I believe. We'll try that out in the menu, and I'll show you where that setting is. So it doesn't have to, you know, look non-original, which is awesome. So I might change mine to say Atari as well. And let's try a game of this. Now this is going to be seeming a little easier, I'm sure, because Millipede is kind of crazy with everything going on. There we go. Starts out really slow, in my opinion. Still a fun game. I want to hear the free game sound or free guy sound. I'm about 5,000 away from that. There we go. There we go. There's the sound I love. But the palette seems good to me. I know it's very similar to the original. It's not quite the same because Millipede is actually superior where it has more colors. But I'll put a link in the description where the creator of this, of the Braze kit actually, because I think he took the code from the Braze kit with permission. So it is kind of the Braze kit with the additional save features in there that's highscoresaves.com is popular for, where you can save and restore your settings. And I'll show you that in a second. So let me put my name in here. So, all right, so 51,700. Let me go back here. All right, so I'm going to go to Warlords now. Now you guys really wanted to see that one. So you could set it to have to be either this player or that player. I think the default is here, but I kind of messed with it. So this right here is where I'm going to be at, so it's easier to see for you guys. So see, I go left and right. You can hold the button down to shoot. Now the big difference on this is that it's only one player, number one, and also that it's a vertical game. Where you're seeing it now, where normally it's a horizontal game. So I'm trying to get this guy tricked. I'm trying to get him in there. Come on. Let's see if I can kill him. So it gets harder and harder. It's pretty difficult. And it gives you another fireball every time you kill a guy. So I tend to hold it a lot. Oh, I just killed myself. But there it is. So let me put my name in. You just go left and right. So it works really well with the spinner. I'm really surprised. The spinner control actually translates well to this trackball here. And let's see. Is it there? There we go. All right, so it's going to save it as a high score. And what I'll do now, I'm going to hold the button down. We're going to go to the next game, which is Super Breakout Progressive. So these three are actually the same game, Super Breakout, but they're just different settings where I'm guessing, I don't have the original, but you probably set dip switches to set the game to play in certain modes. but this has all three that you can select right away without having to go in the back and set all the settings. So Super Breakout Progressive, that one basically goes down. So as you play and as you do well and stuff, it'll actually come down and just keep building infinite amount of blocks. You'll see it after a few times. I think it's after 5 maybe. I can't remember. But you'll see it. There it goes. So it just went down. And it simulates the, this was a black and white game, which had like a gel with the color over it. So it kind of simulates that. I don't believe it's MAME. I think that was just programmed in there in addition to using the original ROMs. So I think this is pretty dead on accurate, because the hardware was very similar to, you know, the Atari Millipede. So they're using that processor and everything else to kind of simulate the game with the ROMs. So that's this version. Let me go up to the other one here. So now you have Super Double, which is basically it's two balls at the same time and 2 paddles. So I'm going to serve right now. So it's a little more difficult. If you let one fall, like I just did, it still continues until you die. But you can use the bottom one to hit instead of the top. And then I guess when you clear the board, it goes to the next one. So that's that game, that variation. My favorite that I think is pretty cool, and it reminds me of Arkanoid a little bit, where it has like a little power-up if you unlock it, is a Super Breakout Cavity, where they have balls that are in there. And as you go, it'll actually unlock those balls. So if I unlock them here, I'm going to try to do it in this game here. So it's cool, you know, it's a bonus. I mean, the Braze kit is great. This is kind of the Braze kit on steroids, but not really because of the games. I think the beauty of this is really the options that are in there. So we'll show you in a minute, once I get these things unlocked here, the options menu, so that you can see what you can set and how it backs your scores up and has a lot of really cool features. Let's try getting in there to get these out of there. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty swift, you know. If you hit diagonal, it still goes left. So so diagonal up and diagonal down this way still goes left, and then the opposite way if you go diagonal up or diagonal down, it's the same amount of things. So it really feels great and smooth. Doesn't slow down in any way. If you like hit diagonals versus side, it still goes left and right. It's pretty absolute. I think the y-axis is probably disabled. Man, I'm doing terrible here. I'm trying to unlock that over there, and I can't quite get it. I'm not sure if you can set the dip switch settings to have this bigger or not. I wonder. I don't own the original game, so I don't know, but I feel like the paddle should be a little bit bigger. I know it was like this. That's probably why I didn't like the original game. But it's still pretty cool. I'm more of an Arkanoid fan, though, which is Super Breakout on steroids because it has power-ups and stuff. And I do own Tournament Arkanoid and regular Arkanoid. I own both of them. There we go. I'm assuming when you finish the board, see, it's going really fast now, and I'm still able to keep up because it's pretty quick. It's analog. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna kill myself here. All right. So now it's asking me to enter my initials. So I'm gonna enter D. All right, and it will save that. So let me go ahead and get out of the game. And it goes back to here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what to do to reboot the game. So in order to do that, you could either set it to hold player 2 down. If you hold player 2 down, it should reset the game. I think I might have disabled it. Yeah, I did. I did disable it here. There we go. So I must have hit it by mistake. Yeah, so that's what I did. So anyway, let me go ahead. We'll turn it off here. So let's go ahead, Shut it off. All right, so I'm going to hold player 1 down. So when you hold player 1 down and you turn it on, basically you let go and it gives you the settings for the game. So these settings are pretty cool. What it is, I mean, you can, when you're all done setting stuff, on the bottom it says discard or save. Use the trackball to go up and down. It's pretty cool because it doesn't go really fast. You kind of just go, it's kind of like using the joystick, but it's really good. I thought it would track really fast and go all over the place, but it doesn't. It's at a good speed here. So again, this is beta, so don't forget that. So any changes for the final version, it may change slightly. But for now, you know, I'm just kind of vetting out. I found a bug already with the Atari logo, and I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to let Joe know. He's just going to burn me a new ROM for the menu and all the settings, and we can kind of correct that. So he's the kind of the guy behind the curtain with all that, and then I let him know, you know, along with others. I think there's a few others that are beta testing this as well. So let's go to the first one. So cabinet settings. So the default game you could set to whatever you want. I'm setting it to Millipede because when I turn it on, I want people to be able to turn the game on or turn the arcade on and not have to worry about it. Go straight to the game. And I want it to look factory. So if you don't want that, you could set it to whatever game you want. So you could set it to Centipede, to Warlords, to Breakout, whatever you want. So I'm setting mine to Millipede. I'm going to leave it that way. Cabinet type, it'll work with a cocktail or an upright. You just got to set it. Free play, you can enable it or disable it. Coinage, same thing. If you don't have free play set, you can set whatever credits you want. Same thing, right coin, left coin, bonus coin, and then credit minimum is 1 credit. So that's all like for credits and for having it if you want to save, you know, to pay for it. But I have mine set for free play. I don't have to worry. Now, as far as the message goes, I'm going to change this to say, right now it says HSS, which is high score saves. You could set it to be Atari, so it looks factory. But there is a kind of a bug in that. I'm going to show you that in a second that I discovered, so I'm going to let them know. I'm sure it'll fix it by the time it ships out. Track sounds, there it is. Right now it was really loud, so I'm going to set it to either off, which is default. That's how you have with factory, or you could set it to 1. Actually, I messed that up. I meant to go down. There we go. So I'm going to set it to 1. Now I'm going to go back to the main menu. And then save kit settings, that's the next one here. So what's cool about this is you could tell it to save all the scores, only the first, only the top 3, which is the default for this game, and it saves the top 3 into memory. Or you can put it to none, and it won't save it at all. So I'm going to save it to all, so like if you have 10 high scores, it'll save them all. Backup scores is really cool. So let's say you're playing the game, and you decide to take it to a show or something where you know there's like a record, world record holder that you don't want to kind of mess up your high scores because you're the high score in your house. You can't do as well as they can. You could actually back up your high scores, which I can do right here. And you'll see it's backing it up. And what's happening is it's throwing it to backup memory so that when you bring it to the actual you know, show or if you have people over or whatever it is, you can reset it to once it's all done and you want to set it back to yours, you can just kind of load it. So I'll show you what I mean. So if you go to save kit settings, I can basically go back here. I can hit restore scores and you click it and it'll actually, right now it's validating because it doesn't see any change, but if the scores are different where somebody really has a high score and you don't want that on there, all you have to do is restore your personal high scores for your arcade. I think that's a really great feature. I don't believe the Braze kit has that. So that's what really makes this unique, and in my case, I think it's really, in my opinion, more valuable than the Braze kit because it can do that. So most of his games do have that feature where you can do that. So you can load stuff and restore. You can reset everything. Default game, so whatever the default game is there, you can set that game only. You could set all the dip switch settings to default. You could boot up with default game, or you can boot up with last played. That's pretty cool. I like that feature. So it lets you change. I'm going to go to the default game, which is mine, you know, that I want to do, which is Millipede. Boot up menu. You could set it to automatically boot up with the menu right off the bat. You know, I suggest you don't do that, and you could just do it the way I did it. I'm going to leave that disabled. Reset button, I have it enabled. Basically, you hold player 2 down, and it'll reset the game. So I have it just to experiment with it. You don't really need to have that on. And then here, it's actually built for online. So I think, I'm not really sure, he'll have to confirm, but basically, just like his other kits, they have ways like where you can plug it in with an RJ45 connector on the actual board. I know the one that I put in did not have the connector, but he may have a version of this Millipede high score save kit that does have that. So if that's the case, when you buy it, he gives you a PK number and SK number. You have to put that in there. You have to, you can put it online. You plug it in, and then what it does is it uploads the high scores to a website, and you can kind of compare with your friends who have the game as well or have the kit. I think it's pretty cool. It's worldwide, so works really well. I don't have a need for that, so I'm not going to do it, and I'm also not beta testing that right now. Maybe in the future, not really sure. So that's what that is. And then game menu settings, we'll go to that one. So game menu access, right now it's enabled. I believe, not really sure what that does if you disable it, but I know if you hold the button down, it'll actually go to the main menu there. And then of course you could disable games. So if you want to disable, in my case, most likely when I'm done, I'm going to disable this because it's going to confuse people. I'm going to disable this one and that one and just only have Super Breakout Cavity enabled. So I just have Millipede, Centipede, Warlords, and then Super Breakout with the bouncy balls that I like. But, for now, I'm going to leave them enabled because I'm, beta testing this whole thing. And let's see. And this here, like I said, he had permission from Mike. It's Mike Killawald. He's the guy who did the Braze kits. So I believe he's getting out of the game. He doesn't want to do it anymore. So they're kind of, he still has his kits that he sells through High Score Save. So once they're done, I think they're done. They'll become collector's items, I guess, because this will kind of replace the kit. Centipede, okay, we'll go to Centipede settings. You could set the lives, the difficulty, bonus life. I'm just going to leave that all alone. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. There we go, let's see, yeah. And then Warlords, same thing. You could set active player left. So right now I'm going to set it to be right player. And then you could set the music to be the end of the game or when you put high scores in only. So I'll put it on high scores. Okay, Super Breakout. I usually set it to 5 lives because I think it's pretty hard. It's a difficult game in general. And then you have other options here, which I'm not going to mess with. So let me go back to main menu. And then at the end, you're just going to hit save. So it's right there. It's flashing. I'm going to hit save. It saves it. It says push start button. When you do that, it goes to your default game. So here it is. Now here's the thing I'm talking about. I'm going to zoom in on it so you guys can see. But basically, the Atari logo here has an issue where it's, it's not really behaving right, where it's supposed to just say Atari and it does not. I actually have it right over here on my other main machine. Let me see if I can go ahead to go over there so you can see it. But I have it running on my main machine, just because I'm beta testing, and you can see the Atari logo there is just fine. So he does have to correct it on his. Again, it is in beta. So we're aware of stuff like that. You can see right there. See how it's kind of screwed up. So yeah, he'll fix that over time. So for now, I'm going to set it back to highscoresaves.com. And we'll play a few games. So let's go ahead and mess around again. I'm going to show you a different version of this. He has an alternate mode that you can put in there. So I'll show you that in 1 second. Okay, so we're back in this setting here, and I'm going to go to the Millipede settings. So it's right here. And you'll see right here, I can actually set the graphics set. You see it down there? It says original. I'm going to set that to alternate. And what that does, he has a new version in here. That's all it does is it changes the characters around to look different, but it's the same game. So I'm going to hit save. And you'll see now the game boots differently. So now it has like these trucks here instead of the DDT bombs. It has a kangaroo instead of the inchworm. The earwig looks like a little dog. And then you have a helicopter as a dragonfly. The mosquito looks like a bird. And this is a flock of birds instead of the millipede. The spider's another bird. You have another dog for the beetle. See, it looks a little different. Yeah, so let me go ahead and play a game and I'll show you what I mean. I'll go hard again so you can see what's going on. and they're little trees instead of mushrooms. So right now, that's either a bat or a hawk or some sort of bird. Man, I forget how hard this game is. Yep. So that's it. So there's a difference. It just has a lot of graphics that are different. I believe when the game shipped, when I got it, it had this, and I was like, what's going on? I can't get my original game. And he's like, oh, just go into the menu and change it. So it's kind of neat. I guess he does it just because he can. I guess the original guy had it in there as well. So not sure if the Braze kits have that or not. If you guys know that, just comment below. I'm just curious. But yeah, so that's the game. Again, I'm just going to go back to the main menu. So I set it back to free play. Track mode sounds are 1 out of 4. We'll see how it sounds here, if it works or not. Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's actually active, but I know in the future, again, this is in beta, but in the future he's probably going to have it. I'm pretty sure this is set 1 out of 4, and it still seems a little loud. Didn't really make a difference, but it's cool that he has that. It's going to change it. So, and I did change this back to highscoresaves.com. So yeah, so that's it. So this is a kit. If you guys are interested, I may do a live stream on me playing it and messing around with it. If you guys have any questions, I might do that in the future. Comment below if you want me to do that. I pretty much have everything set in HD. I have 60 frames per second, so it'll be capturing it pretty good. But yeah, so don't forget, hit up highscoresaves.com. It's currently not in stock because has not gone to sale yet. It's still in beta, like I said. I'm messing around with it. But I figured I'd give you a little sneak peek on how it looks. Again, don't take everything you see in here that it's going to be the features. There could be stuff added. I have a couple ideas with the trackball on what to do, because I know Centipede and Millipede trackballs are different sizes, so the gameplay is different. So I was hoping to put something in there, or have them put something where it changes depending on which game you're playing or which control panel you're using. So if you have it in a Centipede cabinet with a 2.5-inch trackball or 2.25-inch trackball, you know, it's a different experience playing this game because it tracks a little faster. So hopefully we'll kind of work all those kinks out, and we'll see what happens. And you know, I have a lot of suggestions for him, and I just got an email today that I have to upgrade the BIOS on this already, because he's fixed a couple things in the test menu. So again, you know, it is in beta, so just don't take everything that, you know, what you see here as written in stone. Okay guys, if you're following me on Twitter and Instagram, you guys know what to do. Just follow me out there. I did post some pictures about this whole thing that I've been doing here, and it really is exciting. I'm really glad I had it. I did pay for the kit. I'm not being, you know, I didn't get this for free or anything. I'm not being biased. I'm just, like I said, I'm just beta testing it for him. Just to, you know, me and Joe go back, you know, we met a few years ago at ZapCon, and I've done a couple things for him already. He's done a lot for me as well. So, you know, I told him, hey, I'll be happy to beta test it if I can get it early and show you guys. But I did pay for this kit. It's going for about $85. Not really sure if it's going to have online features or not. I'm guessing it is, since it's kind of implemented in there. I got to ask Joe. But if you have any questions, just put them below. I'll try to answer them as I can. And, you know, I'll probably do a future, like I said, future live video on this, where I'm playing live. You guys can ask me questions as we go. And I'm sure I'll have different, you know, BIOSes burned to this kit, you know, as it improves and as we get closer to release date. So, again, this is not my kit. It is highscoresaves.com. I'm just doing Joe a favor there. And that's it. So thanks again. Hope you guys subscribe. See if you like it. Just pass it on to your friends. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.